Alright, how's it going? I'm the Crown Clown, and today we're doing What If the Clown Mafia was in My Hero Academia Part 2. I hope you guys enjoy this series, and this might be a little bit on the shorter side because, well, we're going to have to record Fairy Tale, and I'm gonna just go ahead and say that each part may only be an hour. So, sorry if you were expecting anything more, but they also might be like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not going to go anything less than 45 minutes though. And I'm sorry about what happened with Spawn. I was super out of it. I didn't know what happened. I've just been so busy. I've been swamped. And yeah, it's not my best moment. I'm sorry that I messed everything up with that. So I'll make it up. I'll redo the whole part 4 for Spawn and make it extra long so you guys have a bigger video. And yeah, that'll be tomorrow though. So like I said, I'm sorry for that, but anyway, let's get right on into it with what if the Crown Clown Mafia was in MHA Part 2. And we're actually going to start off with a quick recap. So, where we last left off, Ikasi, aka Drago, which is what I'm going to be calling him now since that is his hero name. And remember, they've had hero licenses forged for them. And you really can't tell that they're forged. So, I'm going to go ahead and list off everybody's hero name. So, basically, Ikasi is Drago, Razor's just Razor, and Pancakes is Pancakes. So that just leaves Rio and Alexandros. Alexandros is called Damage Calculator, and his Mafia name is called X Times. So yeah, as for Rio, his hero name is just CC. Same as it always is. And basically, he's pretty much been looking for his family's killers since, yes, his family was roasted alive 2 years ago now. He's 23. And basically, I know you guys are commenting Dobby. It's not Dobby. I'm telling you guys right now, it's not Dobby. So there's either 3 options it could be. Either 1, it's Endeavor, 2, it's Burnin', or 3, it's an original character. I guess you'll just have to find out which is which by staying around. But let's move on to the recap. Anyway, so Kirishima is about to be getting trained by Razor, as Kirishima's adopted blue hair dye instead of red, and has his hair spiked up still, but it's shorter. It's kind of matching Razor's, since he really looks up to Razor in this one. His cousin's been there for him forever. And with training him, if Kirishima's base strength was like a B, which I'm not going off of anything canon or whatever, I'm just saying if it was, it's all hypothetical here. So don't be jumping down. This is just to give you guys an explanation, but it's basically jumped like 3 whole points. So it'd be an A plus if it was a B. And basically, Bakugo isn't an asshole. None whatsoever. He's spent 4 years with Drago now, since Drago is his stepdad for 2 years at this current point. But he's been with Mitsuki for 4. And he's actually mellowed Bakugo out. Like, Bakugo's still very arrogant and vicious when it comes to fighting, but that's just because that's Drago's personality. But Bakugo's been able to use his explosions more on his stepdad Drago just because of his dragon scale skin and his increased toughness, which means Bakugo is able to use a lot more enhanced quirk techniques like the AP shot and Hauser impact a lot earlier on now. And basically, Sato, aka Sugar Rush, is always being trained by Drago, since Drago found him on the streets one day after he got beat up in a fight and offered to train him. So, yeah. And Mitsuki knows about the whole Mafia thing, and she's alright with it. And Bakugo knows as well, but Sato does not. And Bakugo's not going to say a word about it, since that is his stepdad, you know. And basically, for, Damage Calculator, aka Alexandros, he's actually taken up a job as a field medic in UA. So he's about to start there pretty soon after the 10 months. However, he's going to be called there during the entrance exam to kind of oversee the exams and determine if there were any others, since he does have a good gauge on people's potential. So with that, it only leaves Pancakes and my characters. Pancakes is still traveling the world, going to casino, making more money. And as for Ryo, he spends a lot of time with Todoroki and Fuyumi, and Natsuo. Basically everyone in the Todoroki family except Endeavor, as he's been about to train Todoroki, but he's been trying to break through Todoroki, and Todoroki's actually been giving him a lot more, feedback now. He's opening up to him more. And Fuyumi, she's pretty much in love with Ryu, and Ryo's in love with her because they've been dating for 2 years now, and it's getting closer and closer to their wedding time, but they're still waiting because they don't want to rush it. And they don't want to make anything feel weird. So they're just taking their time. It's slow and gradual, but it's going. But as for Todoroki's training, it's more on a mental front than anything physical. For now. As when Ryo sits down with Todoroki, he asks him, "What's your ideals? Why do you fight? Is it for an ideal? Is it for principles? What is it?" As Todoroki says, "I don't know. I wanted my dad to pay, but you're looking into him already. There's really nothing I could do. I don't have a reason anymore. I guess ideals would be the easiest thing for me to fight for. Peace, justice, that kind of thing." And that's when Ryo slaps him upside the head and says, "No, that's not right at all. Never fight for an ideal." As Todoroki asks him, "What do you fight for?" As Natsuo says, "Yeah, why do you fight?" Fuyumi says, "I'm curious to hear that answer as well." So, with that, Ryo takes a deep breath and says, "I fight for my family and my crew alone. There's no other reason to fight. If your main desire is to never hurt anyone, then by all means, do as you wish. It's up to you. But be careful. Be certain it's your wish, and not anyone else's. Know that if you fight of your own free will, any resulting sins and punishments will be of your own making, bearing it comes with that decision. However, if that desire was borrowed from another person, then the ideals you claim are nothing more than fantasy. There must be a reason for fighting, but that reason must never be an ideal. If you fight for ideals, then you will only ever be able to save ideals. That alone won't be able to help anyone. A desire to save someone or something stands out as a reason to fight, or at least it does for you, right, Shoto? And salvation at the hands of another is never true salvation. Such salvation is like currency. When used, it passes on to another. It's indeed true that your wish to save others can probably be achieved, but in doing so, you must give up all hope of saving yourself. You shall cling to ideals not your own, and and you'll pursue them until it destroys you in the end. And that is why these ideals you hold so dear are meaningless. Because nothing ever comes of helping others, because in the end, you can save neither others nor yourself. That life is an illusion. As Fumi says, wow, that's so deep, but what does it mean? As he looks and says, for one, fighting for ideals are just that. You can't save anyone with it. It holds no weight. It's just something that comes out of your mouth and dissipates. There's nothing backing it up. However, if you say that you want to protect somebody, someone, that is not an ideal. Heroes hold the ideals of peace and justice closely. They hold them so dear. But it allows them to neither save others nor themselves when it's really coming down to the wire. They're hollow, just like those words. I'll save you. It's a catchphrase, not an actual line. Not something that many people take on faith these days. If you're not like All Might, you'll never be able to have that phrase come out of your mouth and mean a damn thing. After all, it's just an ideal, and that's all people will recognize it at. Because you are something new. You have two quirks. You've lost your reason to fight. That means you're a blank canvas, but you're only painting one side. A half-painted picture will never see perfection. It can never be obtained. So, with that, I hope you never stray, and I hope you don't let hatred keep you from reaching your full potential or painting that other side of the picture. Because if you let that hold you back, you'll never be able to see how beautiful that picture really is. As Todoroki looks at him and says, thank you, I'll keep that in mind, but I'm honestly not sure what to fight for. As they head on out of the house for a little bit, they decide to catch some, air, get something to eat. As they walk, as Todoroki tries to go through things in his mind, as he's trying to just make sense of everything. And basically, he just doesn't know what to do. And Ryo tells him, enjoy yourself for right now. You got 10 months to think it over. I'm gonna be with you every day, every step of the way. Ever since people found out my parents been killed, job's been kind of slow. The only money that Mafia is running on right now is that of what Pancakes is bringing in. After all, he's overseas most of the time, and he's bringing in a lot of money. He's cleaning every casino out, and they're doing direct deposit, so we get the money immediately. But, hey, people just don't know what to do. After all, once they lose their goal, they're empty. They're hollow. They need a solid foundation and reason to keep moving forward. I'll give you one last piece of advice, and then I'll quit nagging you. Enter hell willingly. As Todoroki's like, what do you mean? Even Fuyumi's surprised, as Ryo tells Todoroki, if you enter hell willingly, you'll be able to see what lies beyond. Maybe it's hope, or maybe it's another hell. The only way to know for sure is to keep moving forward. Make sure you don't give up, Because if you stumble and fall in hell, you'll never be able to get back up. Take your time. Take everything in. Walk through the valley of the shadows of death and disperse those shadows. Make sure your path is bright and strong. Calm the fires of hell and melt the ice of heaven, and you'll be able to reach a place new, untouched by anyone, a place all of your own, somewhere only you could ever truly obtain. As Todoroki says, I'll do my best. As Rio smiles and says, alright then, let's get something to eat. As they head into a restaurant, and I'm going to say there's an Italian restaurant that just opened up. And the owner's from, you guessed it, Italy, as they're just trying to expand their businesses and their brands. So everything's actually going pretty good for them. And of course, the Mafia pretty much takes care of protection for it. So they're really happy to see Rio in there with Fuyumi, Natsuo, and Todoroki because, yes, the Todoroki family knows everything about the Mafia except Endeavor, and they're all cool with it because they know what Rio's doing is right. It's not hurting anybody that doesn't deserve it. As basically, they don't really care what he does as long as he doesn't go out and start killing heroes. So, he promises them that he'll never take a job to kill a hero, and they promise to keep his secret. But Fumi still worries about him, being out there every night, hunting down his parents' killers by himself. It's dangerous, yet he really doesn't care. Because, well, it's Rio. He has dark matter. There's not a lot of people that can mess with him. Even with his drawback, he's still one of the strongest people in the nation. Scratch that, in the world. She's pretty sure that if it came down to a fight between him and Endeavor, Endeavor wouldn't last a second. So, with that, the shop owner comes out and greets Rio as Rio tells him, it's been a long time. How's business? And he says, it's good. Are you here to eat or for payment? As Rio tells him, no, you know we don't extort money from you. You're a small business. Now, if you ever grew into a corporation, that'd be different. Small businesses get free protection. After all, we're very well off with money. We're here for food. Only. That's it. And don't give me a discount. I'm just a paying customer. Out with my wonderful girlfriend and her family. As the shop owner says, right away. So tell me what you'll order. So they order their food, and they're just sitting there waiting as Rio, he's taking a little bit of a drink of beer, and he's just really just chilling. Thinking about how's the best way to train Todoroki. He remembers that there was this old dump out there near Dagobah Beach. Might be a good idea to go check it later on. As he takes another sip, as Fuyumi says, so, what's the plans for the 10 months? As he says, I was thinking about going to Dagobah Beach with him. The place is a wreck, and well, it could really use a touch-up, and for one, he could use his quirk out there and just incinerate everything. You are going to start using your flame, right? As Todoroki says, about that. I don't want to use anything that could be seen as my dad's. As Rio just tells him, quit being a little bitch. It's your power. As Fumi says, watch your mouth. Rio says, sorry dear, but he needs to learn. He can't just go around holding himself back. Like I've already told you. forge a path with your flames. Melt the ice of heaven and use your ice to extinguish the flames of hell, and you'll be just fine. As Todoroki asks, how does it make you feel when people call you a villain? When they call you evil? And Ryo just leans back and says, well, it's all subjective. To be honest, if people want to play the victim, then by all means, I'll play the villain. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's not what they think of me that matters. It's what I think of myself. I think I'm a pretty upstanding guy. I have principles. I don't hurt children. And at the same time, I don't extort the poor. I don't kill innocents. I did that once. I regret it. So ever since then, I've never killed an innocent person. As Natsuo asked him, when did you first start killing? Ryo tells him, middle school, first year. I was so poor I couldn't even afford my lunch. Had to do something. So, what's a kid with a super powerful quirk to do? Turned to being a hitman. Created my own mafia. Spent a few years recruiting some members. The usual. Why, you ask? As Natsuo says, oh, I'm just wondering. As, Ryo asks him, what are you going to do with your life, Natsuo? And Natsuo says, I don't know why. As Ryo tells him, well, there's plenty of jobs out there if you're willing to look for them. You're a smart kid. Your sister's very well off, and I'm happy for her. You should take a page out of her book. As Todoroki asks him, hey, do you think that I could ever become a Mafia member? And Ryo looks at him and says, your sister would kill me if I ever let you into that world. I'm sorry, but the answer's no. You're gonna be family soon. So, you're gonna be around it a lot, and I don't want to expose you to any more danger than I have to. Besides, you'll be a great hero, and you'll actually be able to understand the underworld better thanks to me. It'll put you ahead. After all, you're important to me. Don't ever forget that. I'd go to hell and back for you, kid. Not just you, but for your brother. Definitely your sister. After all, I've been with her for 2 years. Been happy as can be. As Fuyumi hugs him, and they finish eating, and they head off to Dagobah Beach. And they run into Damage Calculator, aka Alexandros. As Alexandros tells Ryo, hey, what's up? Didn't know you would be coming out here. As Ryo tells him, didn't know you'd be out here either, Alexandros. What's up? As they would see All Might and some scrawny kid with green hair. As Alexandros would say, All Might, this is my boss. Well, my friend. Old boss, that is. As he says, yeah, I recommended you for that job at UA, man. Sad to see you go, but I know that's where you belong. You need to be a good role model for the kids now, right? As he says, yeah, that's true. As All Might says, oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. This is young Midoriya. As Deku says, hello. My name is Izuku Midoriya. What's yours? As he just says, you can just call me CC. That's all there is to it. As Deku says, okay, sure. Mr. Alexandros said a lot about you. As Todoroki says, hey, what are you training with All Might for? As Deku's like, no reason, actually. As All Might just says, I'm doing charity? And Deku just looks at him like, that's the best you could come up with? As Ryo says, if you're interested in just training the kid, then just say that. After all, who knows? The kid might be super powerful. What do you think, Alexandros? What's his potential? As Alexandros looks and says, at the moment, 0. Don't know in the future. But right now he has 0 potential. As All Might steps in and says he has more than enough potential. After all, this young man will show the world one day just how good of a hero he can be. As Ryo says, sure, so, how about it? Care to share your precious training ground here? As All Might says, I don't see why not. As he says, wait a minute, who is that? As he introduces Shoto Todoroki. He's going through the recommendation course. But Todoroki says, I'm not going through that anymore. I'm going to take the normal entrance exam. I don't want to get in because of my dad. I want to get in because of my own hard work and dedication. And that's that. After all, by doing that, I might finally find my purpose. Like you said, I need to enter hell willingly. As Ryo just smiles and says, attaboy, you passed the first test. As Deku says, wait a minute, Todoroki? You mean you're the number 2 hero's son? As the whole Todoroki family just starts glooming and Deku just looks like, what, did I say something wrong? And Ryo just stares at him like, dude, really? Come on now. As they don't know what Endeavor's actually like, so Ryo starts to explain the situation and how he's looking into Endeavor. It's a private investigation, if you will. As All Might says, so what's your relationship to the family beyond that? As he says, well, for 2 years now, I've been dating Fuyumi Todoroki. As All Might says, oh, okay, that explains a lot. And they say, yeah. So, basically, they agree to train the kids together, which means that Deku is getting trained by not just All Might, but Alexandros and Ryo, as long as Todoroki receives training from All Might as well. So with that, like, Todoroki and Deku are actually going to become a lot better at being friends super early. And All Might actually decides to go ahead and give Deku his quirk early so he can start getting a head start on training to control its power. Even though his body's taken a bit of time to adjust and get more built up, he notices a big change in Deku. He's actually getting more muscular. His control is a lot better thanks to the help of Alexandros and Ryo and from Todoroki. And Todoroki's actually using his fire super early. Because with Ryo looking into Todoroki, like, not Shoto Todoroki, but AG Todoroki, of course, Endeavor, he's really just at peace because he knows that Ryo will do a great job. And not just half-ass it, because Ryo's personally invested in this. But anyway, it's time for the entrance exam now. So, the people taking the entrance exam together would be Sato, Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, and Deku. As the five of them would actually not know each other right off, but would know of each other from everybody else within the Mafia. And of course, you have everybody up there watching, including Alexandros. So the test begins, and every one of them passes. Because it wasn't just their bodies that got trained, it was their minds as well. Meaning Kirishima would pass a lot easier, and so would Sato. So with that, it moves on to the actual robot part, where as soon as the door opens, even Deku would be ready. He's a lot more confident now, being trained by Mafia, All Might, and Alexandros. Like, he's really strong now. And I must say he actually has about 10% of, well, yeah, he's got 10%, and he's able to use full cowling. So with that, he blitzes, has Todoroki's blaring it up and burning things, Bakugo's blowing them up, Kirishima and Sato are crushing them to pieces, and Deku's blitzing and just slamming them all. And thanks to this, he's actually using shoot style way earlier because of Alexandros' pep talk to him, telling him that if he's going to inherit power, because yes, Alexandros does know, All Might did eventually end up telling them, but they all swore to keep his secret. And with that, Alexandros pointed out he'd be more effective using his legs, since his body's not as strong as All Might. Using his arms could cause potential backlash and damage. So Deku's shoot style makes a canon appearance way earlier, and he actually has the Iron Souls from the beginning. Even in this outfit where it's just training gear, he has Iron Souls because of the Mafia. So yes, that did happen. Deku's got a huge boost going into things. So with that out of the way, Uraraka never even gets a chance to get crushed underneath the rubble, because you have so many people just going crazy. And with that out of the way, I'm gonna say the person who actually got the most is still, well, not still, but I'm actually going to say it's Todoroki, because using his fire and ice, he would easily have been able to get the most. So yes, that's kind of why. But the second most was Deku, then Bakugo, then Kirishima, and then Sato. That's how that lines up. Ida would actually not intrude with them, since they would all just be in their own group and stay to themselves, meeting each other, introducing themselves, as Deku would actually know Bakugo, but he would actually notice that Bakugo wasn't that much of a dick to him. So yeah, with that out of the way, basically that's pretty much it for the whole training arc, as basically the Mafia would actually start to kick up more jobs. And there was one job in particular that caught the interest of Rio. An invitation from the League of Villains, as he would look at it with interest and say, let's go see what these guys are all about. After all, might be interesting to see what's poking around and lurking in the shadows. Don't you agree? So, they head on to the League of Villains. When they get there, they're meted by a dude who seems to be wearing a hand. Ryo says, what? Don't tell me you're one of those goofballs that has a hand fetish, right? And Shigaraki says, I'll pretend I didn't hear that. Sit down, we got much to talk about. As Ryo says, listen, I have my principles. I don't hurt children. So, if you're gonna hire me to hurt some kids, that's out of the picture. As basically, Shigaraki tells him, well, that's not entirely out of the question, but I want you to kill someone for me. As, yes, who? Who would we be killing? As Shigaraki says, All Might. And Ryo tells him, no, I'm not doing that whatsoever. I'm sorry, but it's not happening. I'm not going to kill All Might. Not for you or anyone else. As Ryo gets up to leave with Drago and Razor, Shigaraki says, it's funny. You're spending so much time with the family of the man who killed yours. As Deku just looks back and says, good thing you're such an idiot for talking. I got some useful information out of you. Even if you were expecting that to hook me, I'm still leaving. See ya, hand fetish. As he walks out the door, Shigaraki just slams his hand on the counter and disintegrates it, saying he wants them dead. He wants to make an example out of them. As basically, Kurogiri tells him, look, I don't think that's the best idea right now. We don't have enough powerful members to take on the Crown Clown Mafia. Even though it's only got 6 people, they're all extremely strong and powerful. They have a lot of people in their pockets, and they're actually pretty much legit at this point. So, with that, I suggest we bide our time. And you just told him we were going to plan to kill All Might. As Shigaraki tells him, but I didn't say how. I'm not that much of an idiot. Although I don't like giving him that information for free. But still, it's kind of funny, because it's not quite true. But we'll see how it plays out from here, right? As he smiles, his creepy smile, Kurogiri tells him, you really are a menace, aren't you, Shigaraki? As Ryo gets back to the hideout, he slams his fist against the wall and says, that fucking bastard! I'll have his head for this! As Razor and Drago say, calm down, man. Like, seriously. You almost just caused a massive collapse of this building, man. Chill. As his eyes flash purple and says, you're telling me to chill? I just got my best solid lead in 2 fucking years. My parents were killed by that bastard. I want to know why, and I want him brought in front of me in the next 5 hours. Find him and bring him here now. As Drago says, sure, Razor, go fetch him. After all, I need to stay here. He needs to chill out a bit. Maybe blow off some steam. I'm gonna call Fumi over here. Maybe she can talk some sense into you. As Fumi actually walks down the stairs and says, what's wrong? As basically Ryo looks at her and says, your father killed my parents. As Fumi says, what? As he tells her everything and she says, but he could be lying, right? As Ryo says, yeah, it's possible he was lying. That's why I want Endeavor to tell me, with his own mouth, to look me square in the eyes and swear he didn't do it. And I will know if he lies. After all, this is a line he should have never crossed. It's something that you don't mess with. You mess with my family, and you get put 6 feet in the ground. End of discussion. As Fumi tells him to calm down, and Drago says, yeah man, calm it down man. We don't know if he's guilty for sure yet. And you promised you wouldn't go hurting innocent people. And he says, I promised I wouldn't. You guys never made any such promise. Now did you? As Drago says, look, looking for loopholes? That's not the way to go about this. I promised Mitsuki I wouldn't hurt a hero. And that I wouldn't be doing none of this crazy shit. I'm telling you right now, you go off this deep end, you're on your own. I'm not gonna swim out there and fucking get you. Rio, you've been like a brother to me. I'm telling you this for your own good. Once you step over that line, there's no going back. After all, there's just some things that just aren't worth it. I promise you. As Deku looks at him, not Deku, Rio looks at him and says, I know, but at the same time, I really don't give a fuck. As Fumi slaps him across the face and tells him, you need to calm down. Doing this, it won't bring him back. It's just going to cause you to hurt even more. So please, for my sake and for yours, don't do this. It's not worth it. Rio just looks at her and says, I don't want to, but I made a promise that I would avenge my parents, that I would bring him to justice for everything he's done to Todoroki, to you, to your brother, to your mother. I promised you that. I promised Shoto that. Don't you get that? It's not just about me anymore. If it's true what he did to my parents, that he can't be allowed out there on the streets, he's off the hook if this is true. And if not, he still has so much to answer for. It's about time we get some answers out of him. Right? As Fumi says, don't you dare make this about us. I know why you're doing this. And you're not gonna make it about you. Thinking about us and all this, no. You're doing it for yourself so you can feel better. So you can know. And Rio just tells her, yes, I have to know. But I'm being serious here. Don't you think it's time he finally pays for his crimes against you and everyone else? She looks at him and says, I do, but not like this. Not like this. Murder isn't justice. It's vengeance. And I'm not going to be with a man who's clouded by vengeance so much that he doesn't even know what justice is anymore. As Rio looks at her and says, I'm still the man, you know. I'm not going to kill him. But there is going to be something I have to know for sure. And I will hurt him to get the truth. After all, it's time for him to come clean about everything. And you know that better than anyone. You know that better than me. Right? As just then, Razor bursts in through the door, throwing Endeavor, and says, I got him for you. Wasn't easy. Fucker nearly burnt me. But hey, He's here. Ask him all your questions, boss. And if he starts lying or acting up, I'll beat his ass again. As Rio tells him, no. Don't you dare. He's mine. And he's gonna answer every question I have. Aren't you, Endeavor? As he sees the look in Rio's eyes, the dark purple, glowing, his hair starting to stand up, the aura of the dark matter racing all around him as he says, "Wake up, bitch." And that's where I'm leaving it off. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I've been the Crown Clown, and hope to see the rest of you people again when Fairy Tale hits later on today. Peace.